everybody. All right, so we got a few listeners on here. Wait a few more minutes until some more join. Welcome tonight. Make sure you can hear me. Testing it out. Okay, now I did not get that many questions, so you guys better be ready to ask questions on here as we do it. Hello, Celine. How are you? You guys let me know that you can hear me. Good evening, Shara and 6 million. Well, it's not exactly spur of the moment. I'm supposed to do it. Awesome. I'm supposed to do it weekly. Well, I do it weekly at 7 p.m. So just be watching for that. Now, the reason that this topic is spur of the moment is because we had a busy weekend. My husband and I went on a short trip for a couple days. So I didn't have my Fridays. I normally do all my Gently Led Sister stuff. We were gone that whole day. And normally I sit down and I figure out, the topic and my outline and what we're going to be talking about in the newsletter if I have one. So that is why this is spur of the moment this week. So thanks for joining, and be sure to ask your questions. Hey, Dawn, Talia. Let's see. I have a tickle in my throat. The weather is changing here in Illinois. It is only 59 out right now, and I love it. It feels like fall. So it is, every time it changes my allergies, and they're also harvesting right now. And I'm allergic to soybeans. We live right next to a soybean field, and they're harvesting it. So then the stuff gets in the air and it gets in my sinuses. So that's why my throat is a little raspy. Hey, Angeli. I am feeling good. Many of you know that I was diagnosed again with gestational diabetes. So I've been having a lot harder time keeping my sugars in control this time than I did with Kelly, but I'm eating perfect. So totally cut out sugar, water only or sparkling water, and very low carb. I'm even going more low carb than they suggest. They suggest 30 carbs for breakfast, 30 carb snacks, and then 60 carbs for lunch and for dinner. And I even am a little bit below those carbs. So, but it's going well. I feel good. 32 weeks. So I usually have mine a little over 38 weeks. So that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm hoping not too much longer than 6 weeks. So let's pray that happens, because she's already getting pretty big. So, but yes, go ahead and start leaving your comments down below in the chat or wherever, and I will try to answer it. I'm also going to go to the Gently Led Sisters group and kind of skim through some of the questions that we've had in the last couple weeks. This is a great group to join if you have not. It's just the Gently Led Sisters, a Gently Led Sisters page, and then there's a Gently Led Sisters private group. You just have to answer a couple questions like, yes, I'm a woman. Yes, I want to serve the Lord. It's my desire to try to keep the trolls out of there and try to kind of weed people out if they weird me out with some of their questions, which we've had a couple of. So if you join and you're constantly just asking weird, controversial questions, that's a red flag to me. Because people like to get you to say they like to get you to say things in print so they can screenshot and use it. So I try to watch out for that. But good, you're getting some questions in the chat, so that's good. Okay. What about the Nephilim? I am not going to talk about the Nephilim tonight. That is not my area of expertise. Many of you, if you've never heard of Nephilim, it's supposed to be when angels came down and bred with the giants of the land, and then they had like these, I don't know, weird creature things that they had. But yeah, I don't I don't agree with that philosophy. So yeah, I don't even know everything that goes into it. My husband would be better at talking about the Nephilim. So I'm not going to talk about the Nephilim. Yes, I will, Angeli. That's a good question. I find it manageable now that I have been 3 weeks without it. I do think I had a lot of withdrawals at the first week, and I'll talk about that if you want. So So yeah, Celine, that's what they are. They're like weird hybrid of animals and people, or like angels and people. But I don't ascribe to that at all, that philosophy. So let me go to my Facebook group. I had a couple on the Gently Led Sisters page as well. So I'm going to try to be kind of going back and forth to some of this stuff. So hopefully I can remember everyone that messaged me. There is a very deep question that I want to address a little bit later, and I'll go through some of these quickly at first, but she wanted to remain anonymous, but she did send me a question today that's very loaded and it's very serious, and I told her I would try to help if I could, but obviously I don't have all the answers in the world. I'm just telling you from my perspective what I would do in some of these situations. So take it and leave it for what it's worth. Okay, so let's go up here. All right, 6 million asked, how would you go about correcting 8th grade or high school level essays if you feel like their level has exceeded that of yours? Especially because I was not a reader growing up and English is my second language. Okay, so for me, this would not be an issue as far as essay writing because I am a writer. It's my strong point. English was my strong subject in school. Grammar is a strong subject for me. But let's say math. Okay, let's take the example of math because I'm not great when it comes to math. So algebra, I would outsource. I would help my husband take over that because he's better at math than I am. So I would have him take over that area. I would also, maybe if I had to, look up stuff on YouTube. As far as essay writing, though, if that's going to be like a daily thing, maybe there's someone that can help that's good at that, that you could ask for help. Yeah, because I know if it came to something like math, I would outsource my help. Whether that's like a private tutor or someone at church, if you have a good church that you go to, maybe one of the other moms could help out. You could swap. You could help out in an area that she needs help, but she could help out in an area that you need help, swap different things like that. So I would look into outsourcing that if it was above my head. That's personally what I would do. So, and then Shara said, what do you suggest to be the main focus for babies at 6 months and on? Anything you recommend in particular? I'm learning as I go and I enjoy hearing thoughts from others. The main focus for babies at 6 months, that's just going to be lots of love and affection. And as far as like developmentally, I mean, you are just interacting with your son, talking to him, teaching things, say apple, say, as you just talk to him a lot as you're interacting throughout the day. What is this? Like, what is this? What is this? What is this? Elijah's your son's name, right? I think I remember it's Elijah. I'm so bad with names. As you're going throughout your day, just be like, look at this and look at that, and just interact with them that way. 6 months old, I feel like the first year, you just pretty much need to focus on the cuddling and the love and the talking and the kissing and, the nursing and the bonding. That's what they need the first year. And then as you have more kids, you're going to find that it gets easier and easier because, like with Kelly, she always has someone to hold her. She always has someone to comfort her. She always has someone to run to. And she definitely takes advantage of it. She likes being carried around by her brothers and sisters, even Lana, which makes me nervous sometimes. But yeah, you'll find that during the first year of their life, that's the main thing that you want to focus on is all of that. So a lot of it does come more naturally than we think. And even if you had a rough upbringing and you were denied a lot of that, instinctively, you know what you are missing. You know that there's like a hole in you, where that was missing. So fill that hole with, doing it for your son. Learn from the mistakes that your parents made and don't make those same mistakes with your kids. So, okay, let's see. Hey, Amanda. All right, let's go up here. I'm kidding, she said about Nephilim. Yeah, that is a good idea, Jessica. She said, do you have a homeschool co-op that you can join? And there's one of the things with outsourcing. Once again, there's a lot of different parents, a lot of different strengths. Maybe you have a strength that another parent doesn't, and you can kind of trade services, different things like that. So, okay, so cutting out sugar, Angela. So the first week, I went cold turkey, and, right away, because I had miserably failed my test, and I kind of knew the whole time that I should have just stuck to it from day one. But it is a hard diet because sugar is pretty much in anything in the American diet. And I know you live in England, and my friends from Ireland told me that things in America is just laden with sugar. There's so much sugar in everything. They said in Ireland it's not like that. You don't have near as much sugar. In fact, they were here for about a week. The first time they visited us, they were here for about a week, and their son was crying at the end of the week because everything is just so sweet. I can't handle it. So he wasn't used to just all the sweetness of everything. Oh, it was kind of pitiful. So as you know, it's hard to find anything without sugar. So when I first cut it out completely, cold turkey, I even went from having my coffee with a teaspoon of raw honey in it and whipping cream. I went straight just to whipping cream. I even cut that out. I found that I can handle 1 teaspoon of raw honey without my sugar spiking. So I will drink that in the morning now in my coffee. I added it back in. But you kind of got to play with your blood sugars because there's some things that you would not expect to spike you, but every woman is different. For instance, oatmeal. A lot of women can handle oatmeal fine, but anytime I've eaten oatmeal, your number is supposed to be under 140 after an hour, and mine's always in the 150s after an hour of eating oatmeal. So for some reason, even though it's healthy, it spikes my blood sugar. Tonight, Abby had made Trim Healthy Mama cowboy grub. It's just really, really good food. And I actually ate a handful of tortilla chips with it. And I was a little worried that that would spike it. But because I had added, it had lots of protein. And it had rice as well, rice and beans. But I found that rice and beans do not affect my blood sugar. So, but it had lots of meat, ground meat, and then rice, beans, and corn, tomatoes. And then I put sour cream and cheese in it. And my number after an hour was 105. So it was very low. So even with a handful of tortilla chips and the rice, beans, and corn, it did not affect me. But then weird things like oatmeal will. And I've noticed anytime that I eat a piece of bread by itself, that affects my blood sugar. So bread is really, really bad. And bread in America also has lots of sugar. So I use Ezekiel bread. I use 1 slice and then 2 eggs in the morning, and then it's fine. My blood sugar is fine doing that. But if I eat 2 slices of Ezekiel bread, that's too much. So I have to be really, really picky with the bread. And if I eat bread, I have to eat it with some type of protein. It has to be laden with protein. So that's another thing that you got to remember with carbs is that a lot of times, especially if you're borderline diabetic or you're headed that way, if you eat a piece of bread with lots of protein, it balances out. And so then for breakfast, I had, we went to a restaurant actually that stayed open, even though the governor's tried shutting us down again. We really wanted to support them. And I had steak and eggs and then 1/2 of a piece of toast and then just a few bites of hash browns. And my blood sugar was really low after that. But I had the huge steak. So the steak, all that protein just kind of evens it out. But yes, I had a headache for almost an entire week. When I cut sugar out of my diet, you will find that you will detox. And I also, around the time I cut out all the sugar, started getting restless leg syndrome at night. And it's getting a little better. I still have a little bit of a hard time falling asleep. And I have a routine now. I have to take a Epsom salt bath. I have to use lavender oil and do it right before I go to bed. And then I can fall asleep. But I almost think that my sugar detox came out in the form of my restless legs at night too. So that's something to watch out for. But it is manageable now. I like carbonated drinks, so I drink a lot of those bubblies, which is just sparkling water. And I can handle monk fruit and my blood sugar can handle monk fruit. So I would use that to sweeten some things. We have some ladies here at the church that eat very healthy, and they'll make gluten-free and sugar-free desserts sometimes for fellowships. And that's amazing when they do it because it tastes so good because I don't have sugar ever. So I'm like, oh, this is so amazing. And then I have found if I just have a teeny tiny bit, like maybe, that big of a square of something, as long as I have protein with it, my body handles it fine. So occasionally I'll have a treat. And in fact, my husband wanted ice cream on our trip. And we went through Dairy Queen and I got a deli bar, which had less than 30 carbs. I only had 28 carbs, I think. But because I had protein in it, I checked my sugars a little bit later just because I was curious, and it was fine. It didn't spike it at all. So I found that if you have something with the protein in it, then it just balances it out. So it is manageable now, but I'm not going to say it's easy. Definitely not. Okay, so let me catch up on the chat here. Yes. Okay, so any advice on picky eaters? I have a 2- and 3-year-old, and they are super picky. My one tip would be don't fall into the trap of starting to make them their own dishes every single meal. I have a very close friend who did that, and her kids she still makes like 5 different things for her kids. I love her. She's my best friend. But I tell her all the time, you are so much nicer than me because I would never make 5 different things for my family. So what I've done with my kids growing up is from the time they were little, they had to try what I made. And if they didn't like it, then they would get a peanut butter and jelly, basically. So as they got older, my boys have just figured out, now that they drive, if they don't like what I'm making, they just go to town and get their own food. That's how that goes. I don't make of their own food. So I would definitely, I love baby-led weaning is really good for this. If you start them off baby-led weaning, which is basically eating all the food off your plate in finger length slices, you figure out how to do that. You can join a lot of groups on Facebook and things. And you start them off eating table food. I have found that really helps with the pickiness. They grow up eating adult food, and they really develop their palate early. So I would definitely just offer a huge variety of foods from the time that they learn to eat. And you would be amazed with baby-led weaning. Even babies with like 1 tooth, no tooth, they can gum that food to death, and you'd be amazed at how much they eat. But I have found that has really helped with the pickiness. Kelly actually prefers, like the cowboy grove that we made tonight, she loved it. She ate a bunch of it. And she would even take the chips and dip it in it and eat the chips. And she actually prefers food like that over like mac and cheese. She does love fries, but she likes regular food too. She eats all the foods at fellowship and things like that. So yeah, definitely. They're 2 and 3. They might be kind of set in their ways as far as I only want mac and cheese or I only want peanut butter and jelly. But I would say just make it fun, expand their palate, really expand your, everything that you make, have them at least try it, and then if all else fails, there's good old peanut butter and jelly. So you didn't stir anything up. The Bible is amazing. I knew what you were getting. I knew you were being funny. Okay, I'm really falling behind on chat here. So, okay. Okay, so that one was, let's see. How can you break laziness in a child? I found that with my children, some are more prone to laziness than others. I have some that are very competitive and they like to keep things clean and they like to help around the house. And then I have others that would sit in front of the TV all day if I let them. So you just have to have some ground rules. There's no electronics until this is done. You don't do this until this is done. You don't watch TV until this is done. And really encourage hard work and lead by example. You be a hard worker. You don't sit around on your phone all day, different things like that. So really encourage the hard work, life lessons throughout the day. You have to learn to be a hard worker because this is going to carry over into when you have a family, and there's a time for work and there's a time for play, just kind of doing little life lessons like that throughout the day. So, but yeah, I believe that if you take away a lot of the options of things that encourage laziness, such as TV watching, such as, game systems, such as iPads or tablets or phones, you take that away and you have a set rule. In fact, I saw something that was really cute. It was Kelly Logan did a post. Her husband had just gotten home and he was in the garage and all the kids are surrounding the car, like banging on it. And someone was like, oh, they're happy to see dad. And she's like, actually, he has all the electronics and remotes and everything. And I thought that was so cute because that just showed that she didn't allow any of that the whole day, until dad got home. And then it was like chill time, because I firmly believe in having some downtime. As parents, we need downtime. Our kids need downtime. But, just having a set pattern of we have to get these things done. We have to do our work before we can play. So maybe just removing some of the options that would cause that child to be lazy in the first place. So, okay. Let's see. My son is almost 18 months and isn't talking yet. He's the youngest of 4. Did your younger ones take longer to talk than the older kids? I don't know if I should be worried, but I am. My second son was like that. My first was talking by the time he was 11 months, and he was talking in sentences. So we were kind of concerned about Jason, not really because Tommy talked for him. He said everything for him. And so we kind of knew that. And then, so it did take Jason quite a bit longer to start talking. But once he did, it was gone. He was talking all the time. So I would personally, 18 months, by the time they're 2, if he's not really talking much, I would maybe just get him, checked out, maybe. Because there are some kids that if they don't talk, if they have delayed talking, a lot of times it can be related to hearing. So you want to make sure his hearing is okay. But once you rule that out, there's just some that are late talkers. Jason was my latest, and I think it was about 2 that he finally took off, but it did take him a while to start talking. So Rachel Hauser, your birthday is next week. Happy birthday. Happy birthday early. So yes. Yep, I know you guys from Facebook. I recognize the name. So happy birthday to Rachel. Good woman. She's doing laundry. I did a bunch of laundry already today, but I still have like 3 loads that need to be done. I hope you have a birthday. And I hope, Brother Ron, that you give her a good birthday. Give her the day off and pamper her. Make sure that you get her favorite food and her favorite chocolate and her favorite cake. I think she would appreciate that. So, is almond milk the best type of milk for your health? I think raw milk is the best type of milk for your health. We have been drinking raw milk for about 8 years, and my kids have super healthy teeth. They're super healthy, and I really think a lot of it's from the raw milk, because raw milk is very alive. It's like breast milk. It is alive. So if you can get it in your state, I would highly encourage it. That is actually one thing that we are able to have in Illinois. They have to get it checked every day, I believe, but they just passed some regulations last year. There were no regulations, and of course, they did end up passing some last year. But is the Ezekiel diet as healthy as people say? I don't know much about it. So I can't answer that. All right, let's see. So you have to cut out carbs to cut out sugar. I've heard good things about Epsom salt baths. Yes, they helped me so much during pregnancy. They're amazing. They help for aches and pains, and they also help you get your magnesium, which is very needed, which keeps me from getting Charlie horses and leg cramps during pregnancy. So as far as cutting out carbs to cut out sugar, it's just that a lot of the carbs that you do eat have added sugar to them, like bread. Almost all bread has added sugar. Biscuits have added sugar, and I'm speaking my American version biscuits, like biscuits and gravy, not like cookie biscuits like you Europeans say. But yeah, I find that when you cut out most carbs, that's most of the stuff with the sugar in it. So Denise said she makes different dinners. She makes her husband and 2 daughters their dinner, and I make our 1 and 2-year-old theirs, and then I make mine. You're not going to last doing that. Just a word to the wise. I would break that habit. I would say we're eating one thing, and I just heard Kelly. Just a second. I'm going to go check something. Hey, what's happening? Okay, I'm back. See my big belly. All right, I heard the baby scream. I didn't know what was going on, so I was just making sure she's fine. She just got scared. So I wanted to make sure that she was okay. Okay, so yeah, I would nip that in the bud really quick. I would not be making a whole bunch of meals for sure. So can you do some what's for dinner maybe once a month? I've had a lot of people suggest that. I feel like my meals are boring though. I mean, I guess I could keep track of what we eat in a month and then, talk about it, but I feel like we're kind of boring. We kind of eat the same things over and over and over again. So, all right, let's see. So you have goats and drink the raw milk. I've heard goat's milk is amazing for sure. So, okay. A kitty cat. It wasn't a kitty cat. It was a baby. That was Kelly screaming. Hello, Natasha. So you live in Indonesia. Wow, 7:23 a.m. That's crazy. Okay, so now it looks like I've been going through most of them. So let me go to my Gently Led Sisters group. Let me find that one. And we'll go over some of the questions in there. Now, I did want to go through this one question that I had messaged to me. If you ladies can help, that would be great because it's kind of a tough situation. Okay. Oh, there's Rachel. Yes, and I really like what she said. She said, I used to make 2 separate meals, one for our kids and one for us. We stopped that recently, and it's the best thing we could have done. I always try to incorporate something I know my kids will love. Yeah, and I feel like if you are only making like kids-centered meals, then you're catering. They need to broaden their horizons. They need to learn to like all the new foods and the stuff like that. So has anything funny happened in your life lately? A merry heart to do with good like a medicine. Funny. Well, I wouldn't call it funny, but I got to go on a nice 2-day trip with my husband. It was pretty relaxing and got to meet a lot of new people, a lot of new like-minded people, and got to visit with them and fellowship. And that was really fun and really refreshing. So yeah, that was fun. And then Kelly is hilarious lately. She keeps us laughing all the time. She's learning all her sentences and how to speak, and she's just a crack up. She cracks us up for sure. So okay, so here's the question. What would you all do? Okay, this is a serious topic. If you had a family member that continually tried to commit suicide, and just about semi-annually they try to commit suicide. They've given them the gospel and they refuse to acknowledge it, so they are not saved. So what do? Do you continue to try to help them because they're not saved? You want them to get saved, obviously. But what do you do if they've threatened your husband and they refuse to apologize? Because you think that being a sodomite is an abomination. They've hung up on you, threatened you. What do you do when they continue to hurt themselves? And as a result, they're hurting their children under 10. So what do you do when it's a very close family member that is doing that? Do you all have advice for that? For me personally, this would be tough because we all want our family to get saved. And we all want to feel like we can help people. But sometimes you can't help people that don't want to be helped, if that makes sense. And if they're causing chaos in your family, or they're threatening the livelihood of your family, or you think that they could potentially harm your husband or your kids or your family, then I would say you might need to cut them off. And if they do eventually end up succeeding, remember, it was their choice, not yours. You tried helping, you tried giving them the gospel, but they rejected it. And ultimately, they decided that they were done trying. So, prayer, obviously, I would pray for him as much as I could. Maybe send him things in the mail, different things like that. Maybe try to do outreach things where you're not directly involved in having them come to your house, or you're going over there, through maybe electronically, or I don't know. If any of you guys have any good ideas, put it in there. But I do think that your family is your number one priority. And if they are threatening the livelihood of your family, then it's probably time to cut ties. And you cannot feel guilty if something eventually happens, because you have tried. We can only do so much for people. They have to be willing to help themselves. So Angelique said, I have a family member who did this before I was born, regularly tried to commit suicide, and it was because she was dealing with a lot, having to raise her kids. She got saved later in life. Continue to pray. Ultimately, she got saved through someone else coming to the family. Maybe they will listen to a stranger more than you. And that is true, because sometimes people are more apt to listen to strangers. So my husband has often told church members is, if you have a family member that you've really been praying for and they won't listen to you give the gospel, and you think, I can try, then give me their address and we'll try. And sometimes people will listen to others over their family members. Your family members know you, they know your weaknesses, they know your downfalls. So it's a lot harder sometimes to receive the gospel from someone that you're so close to versus a stranger that you don't know. So, but that is what I would suggest too. If you think that someone else could reach them and visit them, maybe you could try that option as well. So Jessica said you have to protect your immediate family and cut off contact. Yeah, I agree, Rachel. That's why I said maybe someone now not related could give them the gospel. And then Amanda said the best thing you can do is pray for them. It's not easy to cut off a family member, but I can speak from experience that the Lord will heal you and carry you through. It will always hurt, but it does get easier. Definitely, for sure. So that's kind of the loaded question that I had gotten. I don't have all the advice. I haven't really counseled many people that want to commit suicide or just want to end it. Just it's really deep and dark and bad when it gets to that point where there's no will to live anymore. So it is a tough situation. So I will definitely pray for you and pray that, your family member gets saved. And that would be obviously the best thing. So then Carla said, call a suicide watch. I knew someone like that, and they pretty much watch them and check up on them. Sometimes they might even put them in a home to prevent them from not killing themselves. And then that way too, the 10-year-old would be safe if something ever came down to them doing something drastic like that. So that is another option that you could do. But let me go to my Gently Led Sisters group. Sorry, I'm still not here. When I get on Facebook, I forget what I'm doing. There's so many things to do. Okay, Gently Led Sisters group. Here we go. If you guys have any good recommendations for a co-sleeper, I've been looking half the day. I need to order a few things for this baby. She's going to be here before long, and I kind of wanted a co-sleeper crib or a co-sleeper bassinet, one of the two. I've been recommended the Halo one. I have been recommended the Chico side sleeping bedside crib, but that one's really expensive. It's like $500 here in America. So I think that one's out. The Halo one, the Arms Reach. I'm actually looking at one now that's just an off-brand name, but I like it because it's a little bigger. It's about the size of a pack and play, but it goes right up. The side comes down. It goes right up next to your bed. But then you can also transition into a pack and play, which is nice. Okay, so someone else asked the question, what are your thoughts on mammograms? Okay, my OB and I have discussed it in the past, and she herself said she won't get one till after 50. I had one at 36 because I was having some issues. I have not had another since. I'm now 44, no history of breast cancer. So she was wondering what you suggest about mammograms. For me, I have not really thought about this. I'm only 39, and I have heard a lot of conflicting things about mammograms. I have heard that they actually make things worse. They spread cancer if you have it. The radiation, you know, I've heard that they actually don't catch anything. They're money makers, and they expose your breast to ionizing radiation, which causes cancer. They can also burst. This is from Janine Kent. And they can also burst a cancerous tumor if you have one from the compression causing it to circulate. So she is a stage 3C and reoccurrent stage 4 cancer survivor. So shout out to Janine. Wow. That's amazing. So, and I've heard thermoscans are good. Thermoscans are good to get. And then just regular breast exams performed by a physician is very wise. But nothing about mammograms. So most are saying they avoid radiation, just do self-checks, go to your physician, have them do checks. You know, I will say my friend Kelly had a lump for years. During her self-check, she caught it. She had a lump for years, and she did nothing about it. By the time she finally did get it checked out, it was because of intense just a minute, pain in her spine. And she found out, and she was running low grade fevers every day. And she found out that she had stage 4 cancer by the time, and she had had the lump for years. So I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you do have a lump, you feel a lump in your self-checks, or you go to a yearly physical with your doctor, that you get it checked out. You get it biopsied, whatever, because that could be very, very serious. And it was very, very serious with her. So that is something definitely to that I recommend. And then Janine Kent also recommended a book called, let's see, Cancer Outside the Box. And it gives a lot of good information if you're looking for that. Ty Bollinger is the author. So look into that, Cancer Outside the Box, if you're thinking about mammograms, different things like that. So let's see. Okay. Someone asked, I think I answered this, but I'm not sure. If you guys have any other insight to this. Could some of you ladies help me? On one of Mrs. McMurtry's shows, she talks about something she put on the umbilical cord to help heal it up. Doesn't even remember what it was and where to get it. I believe it was golden seal powder that I talked about. Kelly's belly button was really bad, and I needed something extra to put on it. And I started using it. Oozed for a good 2 months or something. And one of my friends, or I think I posted in the Proverbs 31 group or something, and they said golden seal powder. So I got some from my health food store, and within a week or two, it started drying up. So definitely use golden seal powder. This person, okay, I don't know what that has to do with my show, so I'm just going to keep hiding you every time that you ask about your knee growing hard. What in the world? Okay, so that's definitely some type of troll coming on here. That's the second account now they've used to ask the question, my knee grows hard. And then they just said, what? I did not say that. Okay, someone's majorly trolling tonight. Okay, I need some of my moderators on here. I'm not seeing any of my moderators anywhere. Yeah. Okay. Don said, thank you, Austin. I thought don't even know what they're talking about. Okay, my 4-year-old has been waking up in the middle of the night crying for me. It is exhausting. Any suggestions of how I should handle this? 4 years old. That is exhausting. Is she having bad dreams? She, right? Yeah, your 4-year-old's a girl. Yeah, is she having... Yeah, Austin, stay on top of it. They're really coming out of the woodwork tonight. I don't know what's going on. Yes, okay. So I would say first, ask her, why is she waking up? Is she having bad dreams? Is something going on? Does she have restless leg syndrome? Allie used to do this. She would wake up crying. And what I did is I got I think it was some Highland stuff from Walgreens that helps leg cramps. And I would rub it on her legs every night before bed because she was just going through growing pains. My goodness. Sorry, the trolls are just saying crazy things that a lot of you aren't even seeing. Austin's on top of it. But she was having growing pains. So I would rub the lotion on her legs. Also, make sure maybe she needs a drink by her bed in the middle of the night. Read a story to her. Try to have the same routine every night as much as you can. I know Wednesday nights are hard, but try to have the same routine every night. Maybe rub the lotion in. And then I found that after a couple of weeks of just doing that, it really went away and she stopped waking up. Now, my kids very rarely wake up from the 6-year-old up. Obviously, Kelly's a horrible sleeper. But yeah, the growing pains were really tough around that age. And also another thing I tried was giving her Calm before bed. And that's just the magnesium that you stir up. And yes, there is magnesium spray. And then, yeah, I have maybe a glass of water if she gets thirsty next to her bed. I know my friend Amanda, she said that her son still wakes up several times, but he doesn't need her as much. So she just keeps a glass of water next to his bed in case he wakes up and he needs it. So, oh yes, also a heating pad if that would help. But I'm wondering if it's growing pains at her age. And yeah, Allie really, she was my worst when it came to that. So yeah, I would try the lotion, the magnesium spray, see if maybe that's it. Has she said anything hurts? That's what I was wondering. Does she say anything hurts? Because Allie is always, my legs hurt, and she'd cry. Once I started using the Calm before bed, and then once I started doing the lotion, it pretty much went away. So, and then the Costman's asked, does anyone else's 4-year-old stutter? She is my third of 4, and she's the only one I've had that has developed repeating the first letter of a word several times before saying it. I have never had a child stutter. So if any of you have, leave suggestions. You can go ahead and leave suggestions about it. Maybe she's trying to talk too fast. Maybe she's too excited. Just tell her to slow down and, think of your words before you say them. Maybe you could try slowing her down. So, another troll. Yeah, and then Shara said, I had a friend that stuttered a lot and he outgrew it. So that's what I said, Jessica. Maybe she's trying to talk too fast. I've seen kids that they're just so excited about what they have to say that they just their words start tripping over each other, all the time. So maybe just have her slow down and say, let's talk slowly. What are you trying? I'm listening. What are you trying to get out? And then Amanda said, I don't have experience personally, but I have a friend who helped her son with his stutter with YouTube videos. There's a ton of helpful speech therapy videos. Nice. Now, I actually have a daughter with a lisp. And all my finger suckers I have 2 daughters with lisps. And I used to have 3 because Jason used to have one as well. And my husband helped him through his, and his went away. But if any of you have suggestions for lisps, I had a lisp until I was 17 years old, believe it or not. I was a thumb sucker till I was 8. Not at not during the day, but at night when I would go to bed, I would suck my thumb. And I really believe that all my thumb suckers and all my finger suckers have had lisps. And I figured it out what I was doing. I was saying the words with the back of my teeth. Like I would say church. I would say them with the back of my teeth instead of church. And when I was 17 years old, I figured that out on my own, and I have not had a lisp since. But I cannot seem to get that across to my daughters that have the lisp. So I either need to look into speech therapy or find some good, useful videos. So if you guys have any suggestions with videos pertaining to lisps, I need your help. Leave them down in the comments. She might just be trying to talk too fast to get her words are tripping over her thoughts, you know, so maybe just try to tell her to slow down. Can you please share what prenatals you use that helped you ease morning sickness? Yes, they are called conception pills. They're great. No, those aren't the ones. Conception pills are great. The ones I use were Glow. They're called Glow. It's from the same line that makes Conception. They're called Glow, but they have ginger in them, and ginger is great for nausea. And since it was in the actual capsule, it did help keep my nausea at bay. Also, vitamin Bs are in there. Now, some women react badly to vitamin Bs. I did not. I reacted fine to vitamin Bs. But yeah, they're called Glow. You can get them off Amazon. It's about $30 a bottle. They're kind of expensive, but they run coupons a lot. The website does. It's like EU Naturals, EU, and then Naturals is the brand that makes them. And they have great line of things. The conception pills are great. In fact, one of my friends, Amanda, that got pregnant using them, took them to her doctor, showed her what was in the pills, and she said it was great. The whole list of ingredients was great. So look for the Glow. Look for the Glow vitamins. I think someone shared this video to some troll site because we are getting so many trolls right now. And there's a lot of people watching, so I think a lot of it is trolls. So just try to ignore them. And then Shara said, I used Prenatal Ease and found it helped me. It has ginger in it. Yeah, anything with ginger in it, it's going to be very helpful. And you can even do ginger tea. But when I'm first pregnant, I don't like to drink anything with ginger in it. It's pretty strong. So, all right. So if there's no more questions. Oh, really? Sheila said, ginger helps. Ginger helps me with nausea, but gives me heartburn. So, okay. Well, let's see. I will be praying for you, Mariel. She wants prayers because she's 36 weeks, but she really wants to have a baby VBAC. So, and then this is a good question. Does anyone have creative ideas for gifts for a church member trapped in a nursing home? Are there any creative ideas for gifts that you could give her? She was diagnosed with terminal cancer last year, but she's been doing great and outliving the doctor's predictions. But now she's worried that she will be locked in her room at the nursing home for the rest of her life, which during this COVID stuff, she might be. So that's really sad what it's been doing to the people in the nursing home. I love, and she wants to send her a package. So is there any creative things to send to someone, an elderly lady in the nursing home? I love the just regular. I don't know if someone in the nursing home would like these, but if you want to send a small box just to brighten up someone's day, there's this website, Bright Boxes, and they have really, really cute little, they have cute little things that you can make up. Just, very small, simple boxes. They're only like $15. But I find that it brightens someone's day when they just get a surprise package in the mail like that. So, but Jenny said crochet or knitting kits. Sheila said crafts, embroidery kits, scrapbook material. And then Brother Ron said, I FaceTime my grandparents a lot. So if there's a day you can designate for doing that, they would look forward to that. That's true. Elderly people, they need attention and love and care. So if there's any time that you can FaceTime them, that would be great, just for interaction. I know it's not the same as being there, but And then Dawn said, I send my mother handmade cards from the kids and pictures of the family. That's nice. Adult coloring book and colored pencils. Yeah, it depends on how her, are her fingers able to do crafts? Is she able to do crafts? Is she able to do things like that? Then I would definitely send a lot of those. Another thing that elderly people seem to like is crossword puzzles. I know my husband's grandparents would always do crossword puzzles. So they really, really like crossword puzzles. There was always crossword puzzle books sitting around and things like that. Audio books to read. Those are all great suggestions. And I think even having your kids hand make her something, I think would bring her joy. Elderly people love kids. And they love getting little gifts from kids. So, yep, I don't know what it is. I guess that just seems so boring to me. But, they have time on their hands, so they like to sit around doing it. That's right, Jenny. If they have dementia, they like stuffed animals or toy babies to take care of. I know elderly people really like that. And then Amberly said notes or cards from other church members and friends, their favorite snacks, depending on what they can eat. You could even do healthy stuff if they could only eat healthy foods. So, yeah, it's tough being in a nursing home when you're elderly, especially right now. It's tough. My heart goes out to all the elderly people stuck in nursing homes. And they don't have smartphones and things, and they don't have really ways to turn on YouTube, or figure out how to do that. So they really are just kind of on their own in the nursing home. So, all those things would be great ideas that the lady said, for sure. Okay, so here's another good question. Let's go over this really quickly. We're almost out of time. If you have any other questions, leave them now, and I can help. The ladies in the chat are giving great advice. That's why I love this. So most of them are, with the exception of the trolls. Then someone said, after living a life not reflective of God for years, how do you begin on the path of living for the Lord and roping your children back in from the world you've allowed to influence them? They're looking at buying a home and can live anywhere due to the husband's job. Should they look at an entire new area and begin rebuilding as a family, take away devices, cut them off from the friends they have now, take them out of school, etc.? So what are your guys' thoughts on that? If you have not been living a life for the Lord and suddenly you are, but you have children, maybe you have some teens, how do you go about incorporating changes in your life? Do you do everything at once? Do you move? Do you uproot them? Do you take away their iPads and their phones and all that? So that's what she's asking. So my advice would be, number one, getting into a good church. You need to be in a good church, surrounded by other good Christians. If you are uprooting them and moving them, it's going to be really tough on them. It's tough on kids to leave their friends. It's a very life-changing event. But kids are resilient. They will make new friends, especially if you go to a church with other kids, kids their age or whatever. So I would definitely get in a good church first, priority. Preferably a family integrated church so that they can always be within eyeshot of you. If you don't have a family integrated church, there's not many, then, just a King James sold out Baptist church is what I would recommend. And then just oversee, what they do. Make sure that they're getting good, godly influences for friends, because there can be some pretty rotten Christian kids too. I found growing up. Just because they're in a Christian Baptist school or church does not mean that they are pure or good or holy. So you still need to keep an eye out on that. Don't think just because you got in a good church, suddenly you're off the hook. You still have to train them at home and instill things in them, get their heart, all that good stuff. So family integrated churches are definitely the safest, because there's scandals and horrible things that happen at church when you don't keep an eye on your kids. It's awful. Church attracts the very best people and the very worst people. It's true. So just remember that. Yes, internet access can be a big issue. And the thing is, if you're going if you want to find a way to rebel, you are going to find a way to rebel. So that just goes back to having your kid's heart. Now, if they're older and you haven't obtained that yet, it's going to be a little trickier. You are going to have to set some boundaries and restrictions. Maybe just allow them on their phone or a tablet in the same room as you for a certain amount of time during the day. Turn off the Wi-Fi at night. You know, the Wi-Fi is in your room, so they cannot access it. Turn it off during the night so that they can't go and turn it on and all that stuff. And I would definitely recommend, like Jess said, baby steps. If you try to just completely upheave their whole life, it's going to be traumatic on them. And chances are they're going to rebel because they're going to see your walk with Christ as being the way in their mind why their life stinks so much now, why they lost all their friends, why they had to move, why they got their iPad taken away, you know. So I would definitely do baby steps. You know, the first one would be, obviously it's a big one, but take it slow. Move into a good church, and then just getting away from any toxic environment that they are in, for sure. And then it does take time. You are right, Jess. So, and then Amber said, I would definitely sit them down and let them know what you plan to change and why, so they're not shocked by it all. I think you meant to say, so they're not shocked by it all. Yeah, it's going to be a big adjustment. It always is, but anything in life is good. Remember that. Or anything good in life is hard. And so even if there's a few battles, you know, at the beginning, it will be worth it all if you keep the right spirit and you keep the right heart and you really, really try to have open communication with your kids as you're going through it. You know, let them know why you're doing the things you're doing, for what reason, you know, give them hope and give them motivation, you know. But I would definitely recommend finding a good church. So, and then Jenny said, I would set up passwords and turn stuff off to not let them use electronics. I've seen bad behavior associated with electronics, but take away the electronics temporarily. I would say just be sure. I wouldn't take them away cold turkey. There's a lot of teens are addicted to them, literally addicted to them. And it would be a huge shock to their system. And as adults and wanting to serve the Lord, we might be able to handle that, you know. But if a teenager's whole life is wrapped up in that electronic, he's going to feel like his whole life is ending if you take it away. So I would start by just having boundaries, you know, maybe cut down on the time that they're on it. Only let them use it when they're in the living room, when you're all together, you know, different things like that. So I would highly recommend never letting a teenager have a laptop in his room with unfettered access to the internet or a phone. That's one of the most dangerous things that you can do as a parent, because teens get curious and they will look things up, and it's a downward spiral from there. So definitely be careful about that. Yeah, go ahead, Angela. So a friend has basically refused to send her kids back to school because she's worried about the virus, but she's not equipped and doesn't feel comfortable homeschooling. That is the mantra for 2020 with parents, isn't it? 2020 parents are soon finding out that homeschooling is a very daunting thing. And I do feel bad for them because they aren't prepared. And it's not as difficult as you would think it would be. So, and then she said her options are send them back or apply for homeschooling, but they will lose their place at school, or just keep them off and they will be liable for legal proceedings. Well, I would definitely do something. I wouldn't go as far as having legal proceedings, you know, brought against her. But obviously, you know, my opinion is going to be homeschooling is the best. So, and there is a lot of different online homeschool curriculums that you can do. There are homeschool curriculums that she would basically have to push play for her kids. And it's all outlined. Like Jessica said, look into online homeschool curriculum. If she doesn't feel able to teach him, then, or her, whoever it is, then definitely, her kids. Okay, so it's more than one. Then definitely look into online courses. I know for math, there is teaching textbooks where they do it all online. You don't do anything. They keep track of their tests. They keep track of their work, all of that. a Becca online video school. It is pricey, but it's a very, very good curriculum, and they would get a very good education. There are different online options that she can do if she doesn't feel equipped to teach them. And there's also other type of curriculums that she could look into, such as the Robinson curriculum or ACE, that are more independent learning, where she would pretty much just have to oversee, make sure that they're doing it, set the timer to do all their reading, set the timer to do their writing, do their lessons out of Saxon math every day. And that's pretty much it. So that's actually another route that she could look into. But obviously I would try recommending homeschooling for sure. Not for me, obviously not because I'm scared of COVID, because I'm not. But for me, it would be just more of the ethics of everything. What are they learning in public school? And like Jenny said, public schooling online really isn't homeschooling, because there's still, I mean, you heard the story about the one kid that just flashed the BB gun, the play BB gun, and he got suspended, and it was online school. So the public school still has control over them even, and obviously that doesn't even sound like it's an issue with your friend, but just me personally, that is an issue for sure. And then Brother Ron said, my wife made a list of things she needed to set up our school nook in the house. We have a small desk table, shelves, lamps. It's a mini schoolroom. It really helps her. Maybe your thing or not. Yeah. Does she work outside the home? So, I mean, would her kids be home a lot, during the day? That's one thing too that I would consider. So, yeah, let her know about online school. And yeah, like Jenny said, we're not so much talking about online public school, but there's different online curriculums that you can download. If she's not really she doesn't really have a conviction about homeschooling, she might not want to put all the money into something like a Becca school. Now, ACE, she would be paying for it, but it's not as expensive as a Becca. So, oh, I see. They're little and full of energy and hard to manage. Yeah. Have her watch some of my shows about having little kids when you're homeschooling. So, okay. So yeah, definitely have her check into that. And it is 8 o'clock now. So if you guys don't have any other questions, make sure that you leave them in the chat too. Before we go, I wanted to leave you with some ladies quotes. You know me. You know I love to be ladylike and feminine and all that, I pretty much wear makeup every day. I do my hair every day, put earrings on every day, try to wear a cute shirt or skirt every day. I love being graceful and feminine, and I strongly encourage that with women. So I'm going to leave you with some ladyhood quotes. Okay, rules of being a lady. Don't let your mood dictate your manners. It's a good one to remember, especially when you're out and about. There is more to being classy than simply eating or dressing well. Being classy means always being kind, respectful, and polite, even to those you abhor. And I've really tried to make that my life motto, especially with social media. There's just some people I don't get along with, and they're very mean people. And even when I'm talking to them, I try to remain kind and respectful and polite, because how they react towards me does not show or reflect on me. How they react towards me doesn't matter. How I react to them does. So I try to remain respectful and classy. Never lie to someone who trusts you, and never trust someone who lies to you. That's a big one with me. If you end up lying to me, I probably won't ever trust you again. So to be a lady, don't be dependent on clothes and makeup to be beautiful. After I said I like to wear makeup every day and wear a nice shirt, but that is true. A smile just helps so much. Even if you have no makeup on, your hair's down, you're in a t-shirt, if you just have a nice spirit and a smile, that will help a ton. Never let another's rudeness diminish your good manners. Once again, you're not responsible for how they act. You are responsible for how you react. Be somebody who makes everybody feel like a somebody. I like that too. And to be a lady, don't laugh at another's mistakes. A lady knows that no one is perfect, and how true that is. To be a lady, don't be afraid to defend your rights and beliefs. I think a lot of people think that you can't be a lady and stand strong to what you believe, but that is just false. You can be ladylike even when you're being a warrior. To be a lady, being nice will never make you look stupid. Just remember that. Being nice won't make you look stupid. To be a lady never takes pleasure in the misfortune of others. Don't have this attitude where you want everyone to fall and fail. You know, feel sad for people. You want the best for people. And then maturing is realizing how many things don't require your comment. And there's a lot of things I could comment on that I just don't. Keep scrolling. And then the number one rule of a lady, stay classy. So that's what I'm going to tell all you guys for this week, okay? So just remember that to be a lady, you just got to stay classy. Keep it classy, and we will see you next week, guys. Bye.